Call this meeting to order. Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, can we please get started with a roll call?
Council President Prince.
Here.
Council Member Perez.
Here.
Council Member Vaughn. Council Member Albertson.
Here.
Council Member Rivera.
Here.
Council Member O'Halloran.
Here.
And Council Member McIrvin.
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
All right, thank you. We're going to start off tonight's meeting with a proclamation for Juneteenth, 2024.
All right, proclamation. Whereas we reflect on the significance of President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, and recognize the endured resistance and the delayed freedom of slaves, especially in Texas, which awaited liberation until June 19th, 1865. And whereas we are reminded that over 156 years have passed since the official end of chattel slavery, yet our commitment to eradicating the remnants of discriminatory systems and ensuring justice for all remains steadfast. And whereas we recall and celebrate the legacy of James Shepperson, whose courage and pursuit of education led him to Roslyn, Washington in 1888, becoming a beacon for many African Americans seeking refuge and opportunity away from the oppressive conditions of the South. And whereas this day is an opportunity to acknowledge the invaluable contributions and achievements of African Americans within our community, both past and present, and to embrace the continuous journey toward equality. And whereas we reiterate our commitment to building a community where everyone, regardless of race, ethnicity, or nationality, has equal access to opportunities that foster economic, educational, and professional growth. And whereas we recognize Juneteenth not only as a celebration of African American freedom and cultural heritage, but as a unifying occasion where all of us can reflect, appreciate, and advance the principle of inclusivity. Now, therefore, I, Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim the celebration of Juneteenth 2024 in the City of Renton, and I invite all residents to join me in the significant observance that honors the achievements and contributions of African Americans. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this 17th day of June 2024, signed Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Council President.
I move the proclamation be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Council President Prince, second by Councilmember Albertson. The proclamation be adopted as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. And tonight, to accept the proclamation, we have one of our own. We have board chair for the Chamber of Commerce and local business owner, Daniel Smith.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, administration, and staff. So first, I'd like to thank you for the honor of being here in front of you. I don't take that lightly. When I think about what I wanted to say today, I knew I wanted to be brief but impactful in tying together the significance of the past with the timeliness of the present. Juneteenth holds deep significance, represents more than just the end of slavery. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the unwavering pursuit of freedom. This day reminds us that the immense sacrifices made by generations of African Americans who tirelessly fought for their rights and dignity. As we contemplate the importance of Juneteenth, we recognize that our journey towards equity is ongoing. We are faced with the painful legacy of slavery and systemic racism that continues to influence our society. Yet today we affirm our commitment to addressing injustice and striving for a fair and just future for everyone. Juneteenth prompts us to acknowledge the contributions of African Americans to our nation's culture, economy, and identity. Their enduring legacy enriches our society and serves as an inspiration to create a more inclusive and prosperous nation. I'd also like to acknowledge that Juneteenth marks the anniversary of my partner and I bringing our business to Renton. It was Saturday, June 19, 2021, when we joined the City of Renton's Juneteenth celebration at the Renton Chamber of Commerce. As a business owner, what I saw was the community gathered together, uplifting African American art, culture, and community. That's when I knew this was where I wanted to plant my roots. Now here we are, 3 years later, and honestly, I don't think I could imagine this moment in my wildest dreams, and yet I find it fitting. I'm grateful that Renton is the place that nurtured me and grew me up as a leader. And I'm thankful that this community has guided me towards servant leadership and allowed me to help shape our community to be more equitable and inclusive. Moreover, I think about the legacy that I'm part of in my own family. I think about my grandparents and other loved ones who have passed on. But if they were here to witness this moment, how proud they'll be of me right now. And before I wrap up, I'd like to read a brief poem that kept coming up to me when I was reflecting on what I wanted to say today. It's a poem by Maya Angelou. Still I rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I got gold mines at the meeting in my thighs? Out of the hits of history shame I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping in tide. Welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a picture. Before we do, I want to say that I want to thank you for choosing Renton to operate your business. And also, as a newer business owner, thank you for all the contribution. You spend a lot of time helping and supporting the community and serving the community. I want to thank you for that. So
Thank
we're
you.
going to take a picture now. Bring your family up too.
You look amazing. You look amazing.
No smears, nothing going on.
For you. All right. All right. One over here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, next we have a public hearing, and we have Lori Fleming.
Hello. Greetings, Mayor, Council, and members of the public. Tonight, we have a public hearing on the proposed reallocation of 2023 Community Development Block Grant funds. And we shorten it to CDBG and the coronavirus piece of that as well. So a little bit of background on these funds. They are federal funds that come from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and they must be used to serve low, moderate income folks. The coronavirus funds were one-time only funds that we received a couple years ago, and they have to be used as well to serve low and moderate income people, but they also have to prevent, prepare, or respond to the coronavirus. So have some sort of COVID tie back. Renton is part of the King County CDBG Consortium, and that is how we receive our funds. And these funds, they come with lots of regulations. They're federal funds. They have environmental review, procurement requirements, federal Davis-Bacon, and lots of restrictions and requirements related to them. So due to all that federal requirements, we had a strategy last fall where we wanted to combine our funding into a single joint project. So the project that we had selected last fall was the renovations at the Don Person Renton Senior Activity Center. We are using our regular 2024 CDBG funds of about $400,000 for a roof replacement project there. And then we had some previous unspent CV3 funds that we allocated to the Senior Center HVAC project. And so we did this because, again, putting all those federal funds into one project, it reduces the administrative burden, it reduces audit risk, and it just has a lot of efficiencies when those federal funds are in one project. This project we're just in the very start of it, and so we're working on starting project design in the fall and then construction next year. So for the funding for tonight's public hearing, we have $35,862 that was supposed to go to the Renton Healthy Homes project last year, but that did not work out. And so we are proposing those funds go to the roof replacement part. And then we had unspent funds of $10,050 from the domestic abuse women's contract that we're proposing go to the Renton HVAC project. And the HVAC project has that COVID tieback because it is for air filtration. So if a virus or something else ever happens in the future, that air filtration is still an eligible COVID tieback activity. So tonight, part of the federal dollars do require public hearings when you're doing reallocation. So tonight, we are holding the public hearing on these two proposed reallocations, hoping to get any public comment on those. And then after the public hearing, this item is on the consent agenda to be referred to the Finance Committee for further review. So if there's any questions.
Questions? No questions up here. Thank you very much, Lori.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Councilman.
I move to close the public hearing.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Perez, second by Councilmember Prince, that we close the public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, meeting is closed. Thank you very much. Next up is the administrative report.
All right, good evening, everyone. The free summer meals program provided by Renton School District starts Monday, June 24th and runs through Friday, August 16th at several City of Renton parks. Snacks, lunch, and activities are available for children from 1 year to 18 years old. For more information on site locations and hours, go to rentonwa.gov/summer meals. Renton History Museum summer hours are Wednesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. through August 31st. The museum is now featuring 2 temporary exhibits, With This Ring on the history of a marriage and A Plate at the Potluck on Renton's diverse foodways, as well as their permanent exhibits on Renton's history. For more information, please call 425-430-6440 or email rentonhistorymuseum@rentonwa.org. If you're looking to meet new people, you can volunteer at a community event. Register for the Renton Farmers Market, Renton River Days, and other volunteer opportunities at rentonwa.gov/volunteer. For more information, please contact Teresa Nishi, the volunteer coordinator, at 425-430-6694. Information about preventative street maintenance, traffic impact projects, and road closures happening this week can be found at rentonwa.gov/traffic. All projects are weather permitting. Unless otherwise noted, streets will always remain open.
All right, thank you. Next up is audience comment. We do have a few people signed up in person and a couple virtually. I want to remind everyone, all remarks must be addressed to the council as a whole If a response is requested, please provide your name, address, including an email address. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. When you're recognized, please state your name and city of residence for the record. There's also a little timer up there, and when the light turns yellow, please start wrapping up your comments. First up is Carol Simpson. Carol.
Good evening, council members. My name is Carol Simpson. I live in the Vineyards neighborhood in Newcastle, and I am a former Newcastle City Council member from 2008 to 2019. This comment is a response to a recent King County action allowing e-bikes on paved public trails. Electric bikes do not belong on shared pedestrian trails. A good man died in August 2022 in Sausalito, California. My brother-in-law, Jim Gordon, a loving husband, brother, son, uncle, and son. He worked for many years in college and university libraries. He had written numerous short stories and was nearing completion on 3 novels. He and his wife were fixing up their first home, a houseboat on the Sausalito Marina. Jim, age 63, was a victim of hit and run. He was walking home just after sunset along the Mill Valley Sausalito Parkway, a paved trail between Highway 101 and the waterfront near his houseboat. A man riding an electric bicycle hit him head on, throwing him to the pavement and causing what doctors later described as a catastrophic brain injury. The rider recovered his e-bike, phoned a friend, and left the scene. Someone else walking along the trail found Jim unconscious and called for an ambulance. Jim was taken to a nearby hospital where he died 6 days later. The e-bike rider was identified as a commuter age 40. He sustained injuries and lived. Ironically, he went to the same hospital where the EMS ambulance took Jim. A police investigation did not yield enough evidence to support the prosecutor bringing criminal charges against him. Concerns have been raised about the safety of children and the elderly on trails shared with e-bikes. Jim was a physically fit adult man, an avid walker, and he was killed by an electric bike. Obviously, electric bikes do not belong with children and older adults who cannot jump out of the way. I can't jump out of the way. Jim didn't get the opportunity to jump out of the way. Until e-bikes and pedestrians can be safely separated, please adopt a policy banning electric bicycles on shared pedestrian trails. Please urge King County to reverse their rule allowing electric bikes on paved urban trails until electric bikes and pedestrians can be safely separated. Some of those trails are in Renton city limits. Keep your Renton residents safe. Electric bikes can kill people. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a copy for the clerk.
All right, next up is Wade Plate.
Hi, my name is Wade Plant. I live in Lake Stevens, but I own the subway on Bronson Way. I'm here to talk about minimum wage. If the minimum wage goes up, it will actually impact all businesses, not just the larger ones. The smaller businesses, in order to retain valuable employees, will have to also increase their entry-level wage to keep valuable employees. Even though Subway and other small businesses are entry-level positions, each employee has to learn the skills to do the job so that they can get efficient at what they're doing. That creates a lot of training time. And if an employee can make $4 an hour just up the street more, then they'll leave. So the smaller businesses will also have to raise their minimum wage to retain those employees they've already invested time into to train them so they can be efficient. I think we've all been to a establishment that has a new employee, and sometimes it takes them longer to accomplish the task. And that's just the nature of the business. But if we're constantly having turnover in those entry-level positions, it's going to have a drastic effect on customer service all around. So I am against the minimum wage, and I hope you are. The minimum wage going up, and I hope you are too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Lydia Mascarina.
Hello, Council. Thanks for having me back. I'm Lydia. I live in Seattle, but we own the Berliner pub in downtown Renton. And I wanted to talk to you about the minimum wage 2302. That's hopefully going back to a vote. And if it does, I know some people on the council were in favor of this, but I need you to understand how it's written. The blanket minimum wage is going up. It's not written right. It's not fair. It's really going to affect these small businesses, of which I am. I'm not a mid-sized business. I'm a small business. It's me and my husband. We're not a mid-sized business. The first week I came here, I said that our minimum wage workers are not getting minimum wage. They're paid. I'm talking about a full-service restaurant. They're paid minimum wage. But if they were to work, a 40-hour week, they would actually be earning a wage of $104,000 a year. What's the wage for Renton teachers? I don't think it's $104,000 a year. And then you're saying I need to pay them an extra $2 an hour. Anyway. So my second week, I talked about small versus medium-sized businesses. A medium-sized business per this legislation is 15 employees, but everyone knows that a restaurant is notorious for having part-time employees. So it's not 15 full-time equivalent. I didn't see that written anywhere. So even a small restaurant will have 20, 25 employees, but they only work 1 or 2 days a week, because we know restaurant employees like to work weekends, supplement their full-time wage, or their parents that work on the weekend, or college students a couple of nights a week. So us having 20, 30 people on the payroll doesn't make us a mid-sized employee. It means we're helping out a lot of families. My third, I just want to say that this will really hurt small businesses, especially full-service restaurants, and it's not fair. And I thank you for listening to me all these past 3 weeks, or 3 times. But I really want to keep our business in Renton. I love it. I've loved it for 13 years. They've been so welcoming. Renton is great. I really love it, but this will hurt. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Diane Dobson.
Greetings, Renton Mayor, Renton City Council, Administration, and staff. Diane Dobson, the CEO of the Renton Chamber of Commerce, representing our business community. I'm here tonight to address Initiative 2302 and urging the City Council to refer the matter back to administration for review and feedback. You've been presented with facts demonstrating negligence by the King County Elections Department during the February 2024 special election. 2 critical areas of concern are the signature validity. RCW 3521.0051D mandates numbered lines for signatures with spaces for the names, address, and the date of signing. Approximately 3,242 signatures would likely be disqualified for being undated or expired. This would mean the petitions lacked enough valid signatures to proceed to a special election. Initially, King County Elections agreed with this assessment. However, 2 weeks subsequent, the city received an email from King County Elections indicating a reconsideration of undated signatures validity, stating, King County Election prides itself on providing every opportunity to illustrate our commitment to providing an accurate and equitable service to the voters of King County, and we welcome opportunities to reconsider ways that will most accurately illustrate a voter's intent. Accurately illustrate a voter's intent. Nowhere in the RCW is there an allowance for King County Elections to take the initiative to interpret a voter's intent. They further cited RCW 3521.0055, which presumes petitions of the required number of signatures are valid unless proven otherwise. If you read the RCW, it clearly identifies the validity of signatures and the process to verify the same, none of which compromises the inclusion of the date of the signing. The date of the signing has nothing to do with the validity of a signature. Whether they live in Renton or a registered voter, have signed more than once, Those all impact the validity of a signature. The date, however, does not. And according to the RCW as written, these signatures should be excluded. The second fact is incomplete information provided to voters. King County Elections failed to upload the full 12 pages, including the 8 pages of initiative text, only providing the first 4 pages of the resolution. Voters were directed to a website for information since a separate voters pamphlet was not sent out. This meant they did not receive the full details of the initiative, many of which have magnificent consequences upon businesses. These details are critical for voters to make informed decisions. The lack of complete information compromises the transparency of our voting process, leading to misaligned policy outcomes, erosion of democratic integrity, and increased susceptibility and manipulation. As council members, you have an obligation to put your personal agendas aside and represent the entirety of the Renton community. Residents and business owners have requested a review of this process. Referring this matter to the administration for further review does not reflect your stance on the initiative itself, but shows that you value the voices of the people you represent and the integrity of our democratic process. Therefore, as a community, we are asking that you as elected officials refer this matter back to the administration for them to investigate, as they have done countless other times and other matters brought forward to the city for review. I thank you for your time and consideration tonight.
All right, thank you. Next up is Santiago Potenciano.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Santiago Potenciano, and he's my business partner, Rosendo Ruiz, and we are the current owners of Mariana Restaurante. So we've been here for about 13 years, and we really enjoy Renton. Renton has been very good to us, and the reason for our speaking is we would like you to reconsider the minimum wage raise for the city of Renton. I think it will hurt a lot of the businesses, not only ours, but a lot of the businesses around. We already increased a little bit of prices in our restaurant, but I don't know how much we can raise more for a plate of pasta or a pizza. But I just would like to reconsider that if it's possible. And we thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's everybody that's signed up. We do have 2 people signed up remotely. Yes.
We have 2 people signed up to speak. The first is Dr. Linda Smith. Dr. Smith, go ahead.
Okay, good evening. I'm Reverend Dr. Linda Smith, Renton, Washington. I'm sorry I could not be here in person due to seasonal allergies, but grateful for virtual. I want to thank you for the proclamation tonight acknowledging Black business owners in the city of Renton, Washington. My concern tonight is that the city does not divide the Black community by its action when elevating Juneteenth or any other celebratory event through its proclamation. What would it hurt to invite the entire communities from presenting such proclamation? That's what slavery did. It divided and separated us. On Saturday, June 15, 2024, we celebrated one of the many communities' Juneteenth in the city of Renton, where over 1,500 people attended in spite of the weather, in partnership with the library, the police department, and many other agencies. Juneteenth became a national holiday on June 17, 2021, signed into law by the federal government. This history of Juneteenth in the city of Renton should not be forgotten. In partnership and support of the Renton Police Department with the Renton African American Pastor Group, and the community started Juneteenth unofficially over 7 years ago. And we do not want to undermine the work that we have accomplished so far. We want to continue to do the work of unity. The history of our work should be reviewed in terms of any work that we've done so that it is not compromised and division created, but celebrated and built upon to advance the work that is yet to be done, and that we continue to do so as a community that draws us together. Juneteenth is a celebration of our shared history, a testament to our resiliency, and a vibrant expression of our culture and advancement of equity and justice. Juneteenth is supposed to unite the Black community, not divide it. Therefore, we the people, as a collective group of community leaders who work to bring about this unity, request that the Juneteenth flag be raised at City Hall on June 19th, 2024, in honor of Juneteenth freedom. The city statement of inclusion should be representative of all groups, and we therefore should be included. The raising of the flag honors our enslaved Black ancestors who gave their lives for the freedom, justice, and liberation and betterment of the land. For those who continue to rise in greatness in each generation, including fair housing and health and police reform and business owner and economic equity. It signifies that we're all working together in unity to continue to advance the equality of freedom for all. And so it represents that we belong and that our lives matter, Black lives matter in the city of Renton. Therefore, we thank you for considering our request of raising the Juneteenth flag at City Hall on June 19, 2024. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The next person I have is Ping Bala. Ping, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ping Bala, and I'm the former owner of the Smoking Monkey Pizza in Renton. The reason I'm speaking here this evening is to let you know the main reason we decided to sell the Smoking Monkey Pizza. We were already struggling with the inflation and the neighborhood city minimum wages. Having to compete for workers, we had to increase our employee wages more than $20 plus tips. With the initiative 2302, the minimum wage could increase beyond our ability to compete, as well as the other overhead rules regarding the hiring of employees, adding to our daily operation procedures, making running a small family-owned business more difficult with the very thickness of profit margins. I have a large customer following the both of my pizzas and my cookies. I would like to start another business to sell my cookies, but I have a second thought about in Renton right now because of this initiative complicating the business operations. I would like to focus on the quality and marketing of the cookies, and the amount of paperwork required to decide if I'm allowed to hire and managing employees. And please do whatever you can help the small business people here. We work 24/7, 360 days a year, and we are working hard. And the profit is not that much, and we are not young either. That's why we decided to sell the monkey. And thank you. Good night.
All right, thank you.
That is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Do not see your name on here, but we will recognize you. Come on. What's that? Oh, she did? Okay.
Thank you so much. My name is Ashley Dobson, and I am a resident of Renton, Washington. I also have the privilege of working for a number of small businesses here in the city. Today, I come quite disappointed with all of you. For the past few weeks and for the past few months, representatives of our business community and small business owners have come to you and begged you to amend the initiative that was brought forward by some of you. Council has continued to dismiss these business owners. In fact, I saw videos online where people who represented the Raise the Wage campaign are saying that large corporations are here in the audience saying that they don't agree with the initiative. What I have seen for the past few weeks is small business owners, family-owned businesses who have spent their lives and dedicated their time, their energy to this city, to employ people from this city. Unfortunately, some of the people that I work for are afraid to come forward and speak. They're afraid of harassment or of having their photo taken unknowingly being posted for the pro side of things, which I've seen council members do. I want you guys to remember that you have a positional power that you're choosing not to use. Your positional power that you're afraid to say anything because you want to get reelected. These business owners live here, they give their livelihood to this city, and they have the power to reelect you when that time comes. So as you sit and say you support businesses on your social media pages and outside of these walls, they're here, they're begging you, and so am I. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You were signed up. Unfortunately, it didn't get transferred to this page. Next up is consent agenda. There are 10 items for council consideration. Are there any council would like pulled for separate discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President.
I move we adopt the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Prince, seconded by Councilmember Albertson that the consent agenda be adopted as published. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're on to unfinished business. Council President Prince.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Perez.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Van.
Okay, Utilities Committee report. The first is regarding change order number 12 to the Laser Underground and Earthworks contract for the Thunder Hills Sewer Interceptor Rehab Project. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute change order number 12 to contract 2348 with Laser Underground and Earthworks in the amount of $201,513.23 for the extra work related to the installation of the sewer system for the Thunder Hills Sewer Interceptor Rehabilitation Project. This is signed by the committee's vice chair and member and approved virtually by the chair.
Yes, Councilmember Van.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Van, seconded by Councilmember Rivera, that the council concur with the Utility Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, the next report is regarding an agreement with David Evans and Associates for the Springbrook Terrace Pond Water Quality Retrofit Project. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement with David Evans and Associates in the amount of $237,890 for engineering services for the Springbrook Terrace Pond Water Quality Retrofit Project. This is approved virtually by the chair and signed by the vice chair and member.
Councilmember Vaughn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Vaughn, seconded by Councilmember Perez, that the council concur with the Utility Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. And that was it. We're on to Councilmember Albertson.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Rivera.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The Public Safety Committee has one report, has one report to be for recommendation.
The Public Safety Committee report, this regarding an interlocal agreement with the City of Kent. The Public Safety Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the interlocal agreement with the City of Kent for use of the Gladiator Forensic Services. The committee further recommends that the resolution regarding this item be presented for adoption at tonight's council meeting. This is signed by the committee chair, vice chair, and approved virtually by the member.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Rivera.
If I may say, this is an amazing opportunity for our police department to engage in leveraging technology, especially cell phone analytics when it comes to investigations. And so with that, I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Public Safety Committee with the report.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Rivera, seconded by Councilmember O'Halloran, that the council concur with the Public Safety Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, Councilmember O'Halloran.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McGurven.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The Transportation Committee has one report to present.
Okay, this report is regarding the Southport Drive full weekend closure. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to adopt the resolution authorizing the full weekend closure of Southport Drive. The closure will occur between August 2nd, 2024 and September 23rd, 2024 for the purpose of setting girders, installing girder bracing, and installing deck formwork. This too is signed by the committee chair and member and approved virtually by the vice chair.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember McGurven.
I move that council concur with the Transportation Committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember McGurven, second by Councilmember Perez, that the council concur with the Transportation and Aviation Committee report. In discussion.
Mr. Mayor, just one quick note, just want to add in for folks, this will not occur the weekend of River Days, which it doesn't say in the report, but that is not planned, so that there will not be a conflict then. And as per previous closures, we'll have extensive public outreach. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Anyone else? All right. Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we are on to legislation. We have 2 resolutions and 1 ordinance for second and final reading.
The first resolution is regarding the interlocal agreement with the City of Kent. Resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an interlocal agreement with the City of Kent for the purpose of providing City of Renton Police Department with access to City of Kent's Gladiator Forensic Server to use the Gladiator Forensic software entitled Interlocal Agreement between the City of Kent and the City of Renton for wireless network forensic server use.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Rivera.
I move the resolution be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Rivera, second by Councilmember Halloran, that the resolution be adopted as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries.
Right, the next resolution is regarding the closure of Southport Drive. Resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing temporary full street closure of Southport Drive between the I-405 on and off ramps.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember McGurven.
I move that the council approve the resolution as read.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember McGurven, second by Councilmember Van, that the council approve the resolution as read. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries.
Finally, we have an ordinance for the repealing of the Renton River Days Advisory Board. This is for second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, repealing Chapter 22, Renton River Days Advisory Board of Title II, Commissions and Boards, authorizing corrections, providing for severability, and establishing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Alverson.
I move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
Been moved by Councilmember Alverson, seconded by Councilmember McGurven, that the ordinance be adopted as read. This is second reading, so unless there's discussion, it requires a roll call.
Council President Prince.
Aye.
Councilmember Perez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughn. Councilmember Alverson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
Aye.
Councilmember McGurven.
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, 6 ayes, 1 nay.
All right, motion carries. We are on to new business. What is that?
Mr. Mayor,
We're going to be at new business, and you can have time at that point. We're in the middle of new business now. So, Council President Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, June 24th at 5:45 p.m., the Committee of the Whole will be meeting in the Conferencing Center. We have one item on the agenda, regional issues. And then at 7 p.m., the council will meet here in council chambers and by video conference. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, June 24th at 4:30 p.m., the Planning and Development Committee will meet in the council conference room and also via video conference. There are 2 items on the agenda: comprehensive plan comprehensive plan elements update, and emerging issues in city. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Van.
Mr. Mayor, the Utilities Committee does not have new business, but you're a little too fast for my COVID brain here in terms of discussion. I just wanted to make note that the repealing of the advisory board for Renton River Days, I had a question about it last week, and I still do, as there were some clarity and planning and operational structure that wasn't clear. Because given the history of Renton River Days as a nonprofit, and then within a year of transitioning to advisory board, so just wanted to make note of that in the discussion part. I want to thank you for community for speaking, and want to thank you for recognition of Juneteenth. With that said, I move that our city raise the Juneteenth flag at City Hall on June 19th, 2024.
Second.
All right. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to raise the Juneteenth flag on June 19th, 2024. It's open for discussion.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I was going to defer to the maker of the motion first, but if I can, I seconded it for the purpose of discussion, more or less to highlight the comments. I certainly support that. If there's any logistical issues in doing that this year, I know we can't probably under this time frame do something similar as we did with the Pride flag. I would support it certainly in future years if it's a logistical issue for this year.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Prince.
I have no issue if we have a flag. If we don't have a flag, then I have an issue. And if we don't have a flag, then I would be fine with us doing it next year at Juneteenth. But if we don't have a flag, as someone who owns a Juneteenth flag for the state of Washington, it took me 8 weeks to get a flag. And so I know they're in high demand. And that was like 2 years ago. So if we have one, great. If we don't, then I think it's something we need to talk about next year.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Alverson.
So I'm in agreement with both of those. I guess what I'll add to it is certainly the concept, no problem with what's been requested, but I believe that it should require some more discussion and future planning for next year and that sort of thing. For me, it feels like we're going to rush into getting the flag, getting up there. And I don't think that's what it's all about. I think the city has recognized and is continuing to do good things toward Juneteenth and that sort of thing. And the last thing I would want is for it to be even marred by either pressure or just rushing to do what ultimately I believe we're going to do in the first place. Those are my thoughts.
Mr. Mayor.
Or eventually.
Yes, Councilmember Perez.
First of all, I want to thank you, Danny, for your incredible speech. It was amazing celebrating Juneteenth and giving this proclamation has been historically part of what we do in the city of Renton. Say that the issue right now is not to raise the flag or not to raise the flag. Is that I think we have to have rules and protocols and process, because how many flags are we going to raise? And this, again, has not to do specifically with Juneteenth or LGTB. No, it's like, if we're going to raise flags, I think it's time to have some rules, regulations in place. I don't think we have them yet. But do we?
We discussed it, and we actually had this conversation, I believe, last year or the year before about it. And at the time, there was no desire to have more flag raisings. I think that it's, as city speak, we can dictate what flags we raise. Outside of that, there's pretty clear case law. I think there's a famous one out of Boston where the city was sued because they didn't raise a flag that was asked. So I think that we have to have something in place or a policy in place if that's the desire of the council. So
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I don't know if that answered your question. We don't have anything in place at this point. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Halloran.
I am 100% in support of raising a Juneteenth flag. After all, it is a federal holiday. And so, but I do understand that if we don't currently have a flag, that would be rather difficult to do. So I say we pursue it for next year. Thank you.
Oh, Councilmember Van.
I think one of the wrong question that we don't have flags in the community past, and they will be presenting a flag, so that issue is not an issue. I think raising a flag, especially Juneteenth, is Freedom Day for not just African American, but for a lot of our communities, marginalized communities, and it's a sign of inclusion and just like we do with raising the flag. I know that it can be a logistic issue, but we do have 2 3 days. That's not a big issue if that our staff is competent to do such tasks. I also believe that to say we need to have a protocol in place, I have had witnessed myself personally when I asked for the first Lunar New Year, historical Lunar New Year proclamation in 2020 to have a lion dance. And I was told that we don't have a protocol for performers at City Hall. I think this is where the inequity comes into play, and that if the council chooses to have a protocol in terms of having a flag being raised, that's up to the council but I think that it is needed in our community during this time to bring unity.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Barrow.
If I may add to the discussion, I also support raising the Juneteenth flag. It is a federal holiday in order to address some of the concerns around policy and protocol. All Washington cities had a discussion around this last year at our conference, and another city brought up the idea of aligning policy or protocol with that of the White House or federal government, i.e. federal holidays, pride flags, etc., which might be a good way to be basing off our own protocol and policy. Depending on the logistics, I would be in support if the community has a flag to provide. I don't personally see an issue, and those are just my 2 cents. I'm also happy to motion for a policy in regards to what I just alluded to, but I don't want to just slam us all at one point.
Right.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Halloran.
With all due respect to Councilmember Rivera's comments about following the federal lead, I would suggest that we are a very unique and individual community here, and we should want to represent what we want to represent and not follow anybody's lead. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Prince.
I would love it if our city attorney could give us some guidance on this.
Well, you have a motion on the table. So that is to raise the flag this Wednesday. So that's motion you've got to vote on. If you have issues with that, yay or nay. And then if you want, you either need to amend the motion if you intend to move it to next year, or if you need times to address like staffing issues with a federal holiday, things not being people being here. Whether you actually have a flag, I mean, somebody might have one for you, but that's also, so your motion is on the table. You need to do something with the motion that's on the table, either amend it with that process, or you can decide to, however you're going to vote. If it votes down, you can bring it back. You can make another motion to address however the majority of you want to handle that.
One of the issues, it is a federal holiday, so we would have to figure out staffing because nobody will be here.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Halloran.
And all of us will be out of town at a conference also.
Correct. And I'm out of town.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Durbin.
If I may, and I'm hopeful the maker of the motion will be open to this as well too, but if I understand, I could move to amend that motion.
To amend.
And so I would like to move to amend it to refer to the administration, just to strike the date specific. I do think the direction is clear from council. We'd like the city to look into this. If by some miracle it's possible to do it, I'm not going to say that we couldn't, but my expectation is that it would be most likely in looking for next year.
Okay, so the amendment on the table right now is to strike the dates and keep the intent of raising the Juneteenth flag, if possible this year, but more probably next year. And refer to the administration.
And just be clear, the motion was to refer. I gave a little guidance in there. That was a long motion. I apologize.
That's messy. Okay, so everybody understands the motion? Any discussion on the motion?
It needs a second. Oh, sorry.
Did you say yes?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Yes, in terms of discussion, Councilmember McGurven's motion, I think that anytime in June 2024 is fine. I think given that staff will be out. Um, and, uh, and so I think we can, we have 2 weeks of June. So if you can amend your motion to.
The motion's on the floor. We have to deal with the motion. We can't. Yeah.
And the current motion that's been amended and voted on is strike the dates, and if it works for 24, okay. If it doesn't, it goes to next year.
Yes. Yeah. Any other discussion?
The date strike.
Yeah.
It addresses her question, her comment.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to take the vote. All in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, the ayes have it. Now we need to also vote on the original motion, correct?
No, it was
Does
amended.
that cover it? Okay, all right. All right, that was deep into Robert's rules, so.
Voted to amend,
Right, and then they have to.
and then they voted on the amended motion.
I don't think we did a second one.
Vote on the amended original.
I was right. I knew it. I love being right.
Were there 2 votes just now?
Nope,
Vote to
just
amend?
once.
Okay, then you're right.
On the main motion.
Vote on the amended motion.
The amended main motion, yes.
For the record, the city attorney said I was right. We do have another vote. Okay, so we are going to now vote on the original motion
As amended.
As amended.
as amended. Okay. And no more discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you all. Now I've lost my place. That was Councilmember Van. Councilmember Alverson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, a couple of things. On Monday, June 24th at 2:30 p.m., the Community Services Committee will meet in the council conference room and via video conference. 2 items on the agenda: appointments to Senior Citizen Advisory Board and emerging issues in Parks and Recreation. And another piece of business, Mr. Mayor, and bear with me here, but I'm going to read off a list here and then add some comments. So we have Wildfin, Smoking Monkey Pizza, we heard from tonight, Shane Sports Cards, the Berliner Whistle Stop, the Subway, Smoke Shop, Sierra Pets, and there are a number of other businesses that actually don't want to be named for fear of being targeted, as Ashley Dobson mentioned. So these are all businesses that, as a result of Initiative 2302, have either had to close, be sold, or indicated that they will be forced to make significant cuts or potentially leave the city. And it's all in anticipation, not of the increased wage in a lot of cases, but instead of the non-wage labor standards that were packaged in the language of the initiative. And given the feedback that we've heard over the last, several weeks, and also some unsolicited conversations, private conversations I've had with Renton residents who've quite honestly admitted that they were maybe a little confused by some of the language in the initiative. Some voted yes, some voted no. I can't help but believe that it's really the duty of the council to put forth due diligence on this, and quite frankly, any policy that potentially has some significant detrimental effects on the city as a whole. So having said that, I move to refer the issue of amending the raise the wage to committee of the whole to address the concerns we've heard about its implementation from businesses, and request that staff propose to the committee basically amendments that would eliminate non-wage related labor standards and provide better clarity and exemptions regarding basically the Renton's wage and who and the employees that I don't want to say this and how it applies to employees working to the city. So ultimately, move for the staff to present to committee of the whole for the council to I guess, like I say, potential amendments, non-wage related labor standards, and to consider also where the exemptions should lie and really get rid of some of the ambiguity, some of the confusion, and quite frankly, some of the potential detrimental effects that we've heard from the business community.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Halloran.
I'll second for the purposes of discussion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Floor is open for discussion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Halloran.
So it's my understanding that this was a vote of the people and that we can get recommendations from staff to make amendments to clarify ambiguities and to remove onerous hardship reporting requirements. But what do we do with it after that? What can we do with it after that? That would be my question.
Well, I think the city attorney would have to weigh in, but I believe for any action to happen, it would have to go back to the vote of the people again. So that would be the next step. If there was something that the council felt like they needed to adjust, or language that was more appropriate, or changes that should be made, that would go back to a vote.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Kim? Councilmember Van?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess it's a little bit different than the council members' motion. We're kind of in a relationship, but I'm more interested in hearing the city attorney's perspective on the RCW and really what we as a city can do in terms of the process that could be or could not be more, misinformation or not democratic, as we heard some comments regarding the RCW.
So I believe that's the intent of the motion, is actually for staff to bring back that information to a committee of the whole. So it's not change. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I think these are two different things, because the motion is to say the amendments and what we can change of it. I'm talking about the democratic process in which there are incorrect procedure is alleged that King County is not doing their due diligence and doing the process correctly. That's more what I'm concerned about. And I think the amendment is not addressing that. But maybe this is not the time to discuss that piece. We just wanted to get his attorney's information.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Prince.
Thank you so much. Since it's been referred to my committee, I figured I'd say a few words about this. For weeks, we've been having business owners come and talk to us about what they feel like are the detrimental effects of this, especially the labor standards. In my opinion, it would be doing a disservice not to have a conversation about what we could potentially be doing and having the administration come back and talk to us about what options are. Option could be that there aren't really any options. But I think that we owe it to the people who've come here week after week to at least have the conversation.
Oh, Councilmember Rivera.
Hi. I appreciate all the conversations, and a couple things I do want to really bring up is this initiative got brought by community people from Renton who brought this in January of 2023. They came to me first for an endorsement, of which I said no. I told them to get the endorsement of a small business owner. You get the endorsement of a small business, we'll have a conversation. They did. They got the endorsement of a small business in downtown Renton in the core, Wildwood Creative. And we had a conversation, and I talked to other small business owners who also, had reservations, and we had more conversations at the Rose Gift House, Salty Blues. There were conversations at the chamber. There were conversations here. At any point in the last year, the administration could have done this very thing for us to create our own ordinance, which would have completely killed the initiative dead in the water last year and had us given this creative freedom to do exactly what is being asked of us. Additionally, in the last year plus, in January 2023, these organizers have gone out to reach out to these businesses to the point where they were also harassed, intimidated, and even businesses that are in support are even nervous and more nervous to endorse because of intimidations from the other side, allegedly. There's a very emotional conversation, but in the end, this went to the vote of the people. It was validated. And the concerns that were brought up, and were even brought up by our own city attorney and brought up by the alternative city attorney, was that these concerns that were raised should have been brought up 10 days after the election was certified. That is the law. This is dangerously verging on undermining democratic process. This vote passed by 60%. It is widely unpopular to try to overturn a vote of the people, especially when the business community has only raised these concerns after the vote of the people to this extent. It's almost like they didn't get their way because maybe they donated $25,000 to a no PAC, and now they want to change the result of an election. I'm all down for a conversation, but we also have to look at what we're legally allowed to do. I'll also note it's very poor reflection that we're referring this to an administration whose mayor is also a business owner. I have to say that this has been a very biased conversation in my experience for the last year and a half. I think we're verging into dangerous waters to overturn a democratic election of the people.
So before I'll give you guys your moments, I've been extremely clear on this, and I haven't weighed in once on this. I have taken my personal position on this and dealt with it outside of the city, but in terms of how I've dealt with it here at the city, I've been extremely neutral from day one. So I think it's a little disingenuous for you to start casting aspersions.
Well, we can agree to disagree there.
Councilmember, you do not have the floor. Councilmember Prince, I think, was next, and then Councilmember Albertson.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hear everything that Councilmember Rivera is saying. However, I will say there is precedent. If you look at the legislature, there have been initiatives that have been passed in the initiatives that have been passed by the public that the legislature has then gone back and revisited. So all this is a conversation. And again, the answer could be there is nothing that we can do. But again, I think we owe it to have the conversation. But we're not doing this out of whole cloth. This is, if you look at the legislature, as I have for over 20 years, this has happened time and time again, where there have been initiatives for the people that have passed that they felt like there were issues with, and then they've gone and had conversations about them.
Yes, Councilmember Albertson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Trying to figure out which one I want to say first. So as I stated, I think it would be wildly irresponsible for the council to not do its due diligence on something like this. That is what the conversation is about, due diligence, having the options, if you will, brought to us so there can be a thorough, comprehensive, intelligent conversation about something so impactful to the city. And as far as the business owners coming out now, running a small business, it kind of takes a lot of time. Sorry that they maybe didn't have the time. Maybe they didn't know. Quite frankly, there are some businesses who did not even know. There are other businesses who were, quite frankly, I didn't mention, who were thinking about moving to Renton, and they found out, and they now are not doing so, or having second thoughts. So overall, when you take that sort of that wider view and not figure that there's some sort of conspiracy to change things or that sort of thing, and you just look at it as it is presented, it simply makes sense to do so. And I would be remiss if I did not say that I think that comment about the mayor and potential conflict was wildly irresponsible, Councilmember Rivera.
Again, we can agree to disagree.
Councilmember Perez was next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And then we can go down.
I just want to say for the record a couple of things. This was not a vote of the council. This was a vote of the people. I specifically didn't endorse this initiative because I understood the impact, but as well because I wanted the people to have a voice, to have a say on that. I talked to many of you that are here today to try to ask you guys to understand the initiative, the impact, how, in my perspective, was going to hurt our small business in our community. I walked with you, I talked to you, I went business by business, and it was the people through a democratic process that passed it. My wish and my hope is that by referring this to administration, they can come back to us with options where we may not be able to reverse this because, again, this is not within the law, but get to a middle place where we can help you guys to navigate this system and get to a place where maybe perhaps some of these businesses that are very hardly affected by this can get to the other side. I don't know how that look like. I don't know how that looked like, but the voice of the people were strong. 60%, a lot of people voting for this, they understand it or not what they were voting for. What they clearly understand is that they wanted people to earn up more money as a minimum wage. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, were you done, Councilmember Perez? I'm sorry.
Oh,
Please.
oh, I thought you were done. Sorry.
No, I wanted to thank you, President, because you said what I wanted to say. You couldn't not say it better. I think we own the community. I think we own the business to come to the table and at least have a decent discussion. Again, this doesn't mean that we're going to revert the process or we're going to invalidate the voice of the people here. This means how, at this level, we can help our community and how we can help businesses to try and keep doing business in Renton. Now I'm done.
All right. Thank you, Council President. And then Councilmember McGurven.
I want to say, I know that this is a tough issue and emotions are riding high. If we can maintain and not impugn anyone's reasons for this on both sides, I would appreciate that.
Yep.
If we can just have a policy discussion on the policy and not the other stuff, that'd be great.
Thank you, Councilmember McGurven.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council President Prince took the words out of my mouth. And so I would echo that in reminding my colleagues to not impugn motives of other members of this body, and say that I find myself in very much in agreement. While I think our options very likely are very limited, I don't have any opposition to having the conversation. I do agree we should have that conversation. I think the community has asked for that, and I think that's fine to respond that way. I will say I understand hindsight is 2020, and sure, if I had a time machine, I'd love to go back and have had this process a year ago and maybe have had this discussion a year ago, but that's unfortunately not the choice before us. And I think given our options, this is the route we're left at, and so I would be in support of the motion.
Councilmember Rivera.
It was never my intent to impugn, but it does look some kind of way. And I've also experienced bias in conversations when it was brought up that we could have done this a year ago. I actually brought this up in conversations that we could have done this a year ago, and it didn't, because somebody didn't believe that this initiative could even get on the ballot. So that is my point in the bias. And you can say that it's been impartial. None of us are impartial. We're all biased in this. All of us are. And to say that we aren't is also a disservice. Now, if this is for a conversation, I'm down for a conversation, but I'm going to state for the record that this is the conversation I noted in a one-on-one and with other colleagues of mine that we should have had a year ago when we could have done this ourselves.
Yes, Councilmember Howerson.
So to Councilmember Perez's point and Councilmember Rivera, yes, we all know it's vote of the people and that sort of thing. But Councilmember Perez says something that I think is key. I believe, it's my belief only, that the people were voting for higher wages. I have no doubt in my mind. I think if we brought in 10 random people and said, tell me about everything else that you just approved that had nothing to do with wages, I'd be surprised if one person would get it accurate. And this is why I think it makes sense to revisit, because these are the things and these are the aspects that will affect the businesses. As one of the speakers mentioned a couple weeks ago, most of the businesses in Renton are already paying higher wages. That wasn't the issue. So now when you bring in everything else that was included, that's where the issues come. That's where the forced the decision to force layoffs or move from the city you like to be in or whatever it is. That's what I'm asking as far as the discussion for administration to come back and say, hey, what are the options so that we, if there's any, so that we can still meet the will of the people in what I believe was their main intent, but also not cause collateral damage that there was no knowledge would even occur. That's all I'll say.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. No, just to clarify, I didn't say that. Sorry if I misspoke. I said what you said.
Oh.
I said that I believe that people voted because they wanted to raise the minimum wage because they wanted higher wages. That's what I said. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. But the thing that I don't think they knew when they voted was on the labor conditions. That I happen to think that people don't go dig to all these little conditions. And but that's the way they vote. This is the way it goes. You win, you lose an election. It doesn't matter if you read or not. I will quote many elections, but I will not go there. But anyway, I just wanted to.
I think you pretty much said the same thing I said.
Okay.
If I said it incorrectly, then forgive me.
Okay, that's okay.
Clarifying question.
Yes.
So into your motion, if I may, is amendments towards non-wage related labor standards. So we're not touching minimum wage. The conversation will only focus on the part-time employment exemption thing.
Non-wage labor standard.
Yes. Understood. Okay. Even though we do understand that, workers who are working multiple jobs have not seemed to have the same weight of voice as some of the business owners that I've been seeing, because they also are working multiple jobs and cannot come here and talk about this in terms of the exploitation that happens when it's part-time employers and stacking part-time employees and not allowing them to get to that full-time status. And that's another concern I would have, just for the record.
Okay, Council Member Van.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And like most of my colleagues, I really respect that this was a democratic process, the vote of the people, and I'm open to discussion. However, I do need some clarification again with the motion. Is the motion encompassing of all options of what the staff is researching, given the RCW that was mentioned, everything, or is it just that particular? Because it seems like it's just a non-labor standard. I just want to know how wide of a scope this motion is.
Well, I stated as the non-labor standards. Now the RCW, if you're now referring to the whole county elections and that sort of thing, Councilmember Van, I was not including that. I think they're kind of separate issues ultimately that would need to be, and I'm not even sure how much staff can, other than bring in some clarification, what they can do. So I was not including that in that particular motion, no.
I appreciate the motion.
Okay, well, you could add that. I mean, if you want information on it, you can add it. So did you have something else you wanted to say, Councilor Friend?
Nope.
All right. All right, we ran out of steam. Okay, we got a vote. All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you. We're on to Councilmember Rivera.
Aye. I do have a motion, actually. I would like to move to request that the administration draft and present to the council for referral to the Planning and Development, or P&D Committee, an ordinance that is designed to make commercial leases more affordable for small businesses by limiting the amount landlords may impose for security deposits, capping rental increases, personal guarantees, and letters of credit. The intention behind this is, we've been hearing from the small business community around how difficult it is to run a small business in Renton. I spoke to a couple businesses in the last couple weeks myself. One who mentioned that during COVID, their rent increased 20%, which for anyone, commercial, residential, that's ridiculous and shouldn't be permitted and could also be detrimental. So I think in the same vein of supporting our small businesses, we should explore developing an ordinance that supports our small businesses who rent.
To limit.
I can read it again. A motion to request the administration to draft and present to the council for referral to P&D an ordinance as designed to make commercial leases more affordable for small businesses by capping the increase in rent, limiting the amount of landlords may impose for security deposits, personal guarantees, and or letters of credit.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
And this is going for P&D, to P&D.
Yeah. I think naturally.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that would be
I want to
right.
make sure
I think that's the right one. That's what I got referred to.
It's fine. Just clarify.
Yes.
I have a clarifying question.
Yes.
The motion, it said to council to refer it to P&D. Does that mean You would like it to go to committee of the whole before it goes to P and D?
I'm reading what Shane wrote me here in my email. And present to the council for referral to P&D. So it sounds maybe we should switch that, referral to P&D and then the referral to council. But I'll defer to the chair of P&D. I apologize. I'm reading directly from Shane's email, Councilmember Perez. I do apologize.
Okay, for the purpose of discussion, you and I, we have this conversation, and more than a referral, what I would have liked to see is to have a discussion one-on-one with administration, and then administration come back to P&D if they have any information. But right now, moving to our ordinance, for the purpose of an ordinance, I think is to wait soon. We don't have any previous conversations about this. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to support this motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Councilmember Halloran.
Two clarifying questions. First of all, I think we're talking about CED, not Planning and Development Commission, if I'm hearing correctly.
Thank you.
And second, were you making a motion for an ordinance? I didn't hear the word ordinance.
I did. I can also adjust it. I can amend my motion if you'd like. If that would be more palatable, I could move to refer to CED a discussion of potential legislative options that reduce barriers to commercial leases for small businesses, such as capping rent increases, limiting the amount landlords may impose on security deposits, personal guarantees, and/or letters of credit, and request that the committee make a recommendation to the council whether to request staff to prepare the proposed legislation. Would that be more amenable?
I will strike the proposal of legislation. I think this should be just exploratory referral to administration. Okay. Because I don't know how heavy lifting work is going to be, and right now the city's got priorities. So I will leave it more simple for administration. If that is okay, I can support something like that.
Potential legislative options, maybe.
I don't know, because I don't know what they're going to bring.
Yeah. Okay.
So are you going to
I'm
amend
not
your
sure what I would vote on at this point.
Yeah, I would be happy. Yeah, no, I'd be happy to amend it. I think I could move to refer to C&D a discussion of potential legislations, not an actual ordinance, but just a discussion of potential options legislative options that we could have that could reduce barriers to commercial leases for small businesses, such as capping rental increases, limiting the amount landlords may impose for security deposits, personal guarantees, and/or letters of credit, and request the committee make a recommendation to the council at committee of the whole.
We don't start with bringing information about what other cities are doing regarding this. I'm not ready to move to a process of legislation when we're still waiting for another process that go ahead. I am willing, but it is me again. You have a vote, and you have other council members to convince on this. I'm not sold on that. I am more than happy for here administration bringing information about what other cities are doing to help business with their rent and location. I think that's very commendable to do. But I don't know how much challenge is going to be this.
We could move to refer to CED a discussion of options, of information and options that the city can implement to reduce the barriers to commercial leases for small businesses as stated.
Yes,
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Prince.
Oh my goodness. So I think, because you keep saying refer it to CED, I think what you want to do is refer it to the administration, and they can have CED.
That's reading exactly what Shane wrote me.
Okay,
But I can definitely refer it to administration
I think
instead.
I'm just saying for process sake.
Yeah.
I think you're trying to refer it to the administration, and then it would naturally come through P&D, the Planning Development Committee, and the CED department for them to bring options. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Do that. With that, I second.
Okay.
No, it's already having second.
Second.
No,
already
I
seconded.
think already second.
So
This year.
Are we amending or withdrawing the original?
I think she's amended her own.
I've amended my own.
Jason, do you have the amended one?
Yeah. Well,
I can read it again for you one more time, Jason.
just read it. I'll fix it tomorrow.
We're going to make sure they're voting on the right thing.
Move for referral to administration.
Okay. Was the first motion Council Rivera made seconded?
Yes.
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 Okay, so why don't you withdraw that and
Yes.
vote that it be withdrawn, and then you restate it the exact way you want it, and then you somebody second.
I withdraw my motion. I choose to restate my motion. Thank you. I move to request a referral to administration.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember.
don't we have to vote to
withdraw
to
the
withdraw
first
the
one?
first
Yes.
one because it was second?
Got it.
Or the second has to concur.
All right. So on the floor is a motion to withdraw the first motion. Any discussion on withdrawing it? I hope not. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, it's motion's withdrawn, and now you have the
Can
floor.
restate your
You would like to
motion.
restate your motion.
I'll restate my motion. I move to a referral to administration, a discussion of potential policy, legislative, whatever options that we can do the city, including information from neighboring cities, that reduce barriers to commercial leases for small businesses, such as caps to rent increases, limiting the amount landlords may impose for security deposits, personal guarantees, and/or letters of credit. And that's it.
Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. I think there's no discussion on the floor. I'm going to ask for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. And is that everything?
For me, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Councilmember O'Halloran.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on Monday, June 24th at 3:30 PM, the Finance Committee will be meeting in the conference room, council conference room, and via video conference. We have 7 items on the agenda. Number 1 is the proposed reallocation of 2023 Community Development Block Grant Funds and Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Round 3 funds. The second is the renewal of the city's property, crime, pollution, and cyber insurance policies. Third, the 2024 through 2028 interlocal agreement for waterfowl, Canadian geese, management program. Number 4, community public safety cameras contract. And number 5, 2023 audit engagement letter with the offices of Washington State Auditor. 6th is vouchers, and 7th is emerging issues in finance. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilmember McGurban.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no meetings to announce and I have no additional motions to make, but I do want to say I appreciate the conversation. And sometimes it's good, I think, to go through the sausage making process, even if it's a little messy. So thank you all for the discussion.
All right, what is the wish of the council?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Prince, second by Councilmember Albertson, that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.